Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Happy Super Bowl day.
Happy Super Bowl day.
We are going to a Super Bowl party. We're super excited about it.
Yes.
Client. Very recent. It's actually a multiple client. And we're very excited to go. Not really football fans. We're just going to hang out with people.
Right.
Okay. Before we talk about the housing market, I want to give a shout out. Actually, Oana wants to give a shout out.
I do.
Who are you giving a shout out to?
Okay, so I was at Home Depot the other night, and I met two of our viewers, Sam and Banny, and they were very nice. We talked real estate, we talked about all kinds of cool stuff, and they helped me pick out flooring for a house that I'm redoing, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah,
that's pretty cool when we like it. Actually like it when people come up to us and say, hey, we watch your videos or whatever.
So the funniest part was that they were at Home Depot and I was there too, and they heard my voice, and that's how they knew it was me. They hadn't even seen me.
Yeah, they just heard the voice. That's pretty funny.
So apparently I have a distinctive voice. So thank you, Sam and Bonnie, for watching. We appreciate it.
Okay, this is an article that came out. The housing market sees the biggest jump in 3 years. The first thing that was interesting about this was they intentionally left it biggest jump. Like biggest jump of what? Inventory, prices, sales. Like they don't tell you specifically what it is in the headline. There was no sub headline or no whatever they call that.
Jumping beans?
Jumping beans. There was none of that. You couldn't tell what the biggest jump was. So they kind of forced you to read the article. So I read the article, but I thought it was good. There's some information here. We'll just chat about it. Okay. Here, now we did a video, it was a while ago, it was maybe a year ago or maybe a little less than a year ago about how the housing market's like frozen. What does that mean? Why was the housing market frozen?
So it was frozen, not the Disney film, because sellers didn't want to put their homes on the market. They have these great interest rates. They don't want to give up those interest rates. They don't want to go forward and purchase another home at a higher interest rate. So they're conflicted by all this. So sellers just kind of froze in place and didn't put their homes on the market.
Yeah. So the first paragraph of the article here, the biggest indicator that the largely frozen market is thawing is the massive spike of fresh listings that sellers added to the market. According to the latest data from Realtor.com, new listings were up by a whopping 12.8% for the week ending Feb 3rd compared with the same time last year. Okay, this does not mean total listings. This is why you have to be careful when you're reading this, because you'll read something and you'll infer one thing, but they're actually saying something different. In Vegas, the total number of listings right now are probably 60% less than they were the same day last year.
Right.
Substantially lower. What they're saying is the week, like this 1 week in February, week ending February 3rd, the total of new listings that came on the market came up 12.8%, which is 1 in 8. So that means if there were 8 listings that came on the market last year, 9. Another one came on the market this year, right?
But the market in Vegas is really pretty hot. And it's hot throughout the price points. Obviously, the temperature varies between price points, but it is pretty hot. For example, I'm helping a buyer right now, and we've put in 6 offers.
Oh, right, yeah.
And only one was accepted at list price. Everybody else was at or over list price, and only one was accepted at list price. And once we got the seller's real property disclosure, we decided that, we'll pass.
Oh, it was bad?
Yeah.
Okay. I have another anecdotal story to tell that in a second. Okay, so this that jump, that 12.8% increase, here's another quote. It was the biggest jump in nearly 3 years, says Realtor.com economist, whose name I cannot pronounce. In her most recent analysis, if you are the person referenced in this, please tell us how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, so the phone number is on the video. Please give us a ring and tell us how to pronounce your name, and we will make it right. Yeah,
because a lot of these posts we reference or Redfin or other things they're the same people. We know their names, but we don't know this person's name. So, here's another quote: overall housing inventory of both new and old listings shot up by 12% for the same period. So that's new and old. That's a combined of all listings. All in all, this adds up to what probably Zoo calls more options for home shoppers. We decided, now as you know, we're not only real estate brokers, we own brokerage, but we help investors. We're our investors ourselves. So we've decided to go out and get a couple more rentals. And so Oana found this really nice rental that's in a neighborhood we already have another rental. Mm-hmm. So we know the neighborhood very well. The house needs how much work?
About $40,000.
$40,000. The house came on the market listed for $350,000?
Yeah.
$350,000. We were having this discussion about what we'd have to do and how much we should offer, and let's just, just see, whatever. And then the next day, she tells me that
they have an accepted cash offer.
Okay, in a day. This is not a ready to move in, perfect house.
No.
This thing needs work.
Yeah, this was dump. It was icky.
It was a dump. It was icky. We don't know if it smelled. Could have smelled.
It could. Yeah, no. It was. I could see it smelled.
Okay.
I could see that from the carpet.
All right. Let's jump on the next quote because this is where it gets kind of fun. Last fall's rate, we'll talk about mortgage rates, in the high 7% range, the highest in 23 years, had many homeowners locked into their low existing rates. If they wanted to sell their homes to buy new ones, they would have to give up their low rates and take out loans with much higher ones. This led many stay put want it. My contention is what used to happen historically is if you had a house, you had an 8% rate, and you were getting a 7.5% rate, you would sell that house, move the equity, because now you're extinguishing that old 8%. You get that. I believe that what we're going to see for a long time, people aren't going to give up these rates. I would not give up my 2.9% rate on my house. It'd be dumb to do that. The house is going to appreciate, even if you didn't ever put a tenant in it. House likely to appreciate more than if your payment's $1,500 a month, your house is likely to appreciate it more than the mortgage payment you're making without even doing anything, just keeping it as an asset at a 2.9% interest rate.
Yeah, please don't ever do that because vacant houses deteriorate at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
So please don't ever leave a house vacant.
I think what I'm hearing and talking to people is, and what they're saying is they're not giving up their low rate ever. If they need to buy a house, they'll just buy a new house. I think the only thing that stops people is I had a conversation at a business lunch with 3 other people, and we talked about this, about real estate. They're not in real estate. And their concern was, well, I hate being a landlord. I don't like to be a landlord. And it's well, hire a property manager. I mean, but there were all these fears, and one of them lived in California, and one of them lived in Washington, state of Washington. And they were worried about how trashed, I've heard stories of people, this is the worst thing, because we've managed a lot of houses and owned houses, and we've never had what's the worst thing that's ever happened?
Had a tenant that stuck me with a $300 water bill.
That was the worst thing? Yeah. Okay, $300 water bill. So I would say that if you're risk averse, you maybe want to have a chat with somebody about what to do.
So here's the thing about owning rental properties. This is not guaranteed, but it really dramatically reduces your risk as a landlord. Do your homework on the front end. And what I mean by that is check out your potential tenant. I mean, if you're handing over $500,000 or whatever it is, whatever that home is worth, consider it that way. Don't consider that you're handing over a rental. Consider that, would you hand this person $500,000? Well, if you wouldn't, then maybe you should think about this. So this is the reason why, we vet potential tenants really thoroughly. I've had potential tenants tell me that I am more strict than lenders when they bought a home, and that's fine because the landlords don't have necessarily so many properties that they can absorb whatever costs are associated with a bad tenant. I treat every landlord the way I would want to be treated, so I do a very thorough job of vetting tenants. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to catch everybody that isn't going to be a good tenant and we're going to pass on their application. But it does mean that we greatly reduce that risk by doing our homework on the front end.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But back to the original point, Oana, do you think that historically, let's just say 2004, we used to, in the business, in real estate, we used to go through this thing where we would say, somebody says, hey, I need to sell my house, I'm buying a new house. And we would handle both sides for them. We'd help them sell the house and go find the other house, right?
Sure.
I mean, do you honestly expect that that's what you're going to see going forward?
Not very much.
If that was a 10, if back then was a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, like 9 in 10 people, 10 in 10 people would sell their house and move to the next one. How many do you think it is now?
It's very few. So, like, for example, right now we have multiple people that would love to sell their home and buy another home, but they are not putting their home on the market because they haven't found the home out there and they're afraid of being homeless.
Okay.
So they're hanging on to that home and they're looking. So they're kind of in this catch-22 where they really need to sell this house in order to buy the next one, but they can't buy the next one until so it's this whole thing. So we are going through that. And most of that really is because of the low inventory levels. People just do not have choices. They're not finding the home that they want in the location that they want for whatever particular specifics that they need. So that's really the reason why that's becoming more difficult. I think that we will still represent them in that way. I just think that it's going to be a little more challenging. There are loan products out there that allow you to stay in your present home, buy the new home, and have some sort of
like a bridge
loan situation. So there are programs out there like that. And people are going to have to get educated on them to understand them so that they will feel comfortable going forward and buying a new home and then putting their home on the market.
Yeah. Okay, here's a quote from the article. If improvements on the supply side, which is number of listings, do not align with the increasing demand from buyers, there exists the potential for prices to keep rising, thereby contributing to persistence of elevated home prices. I think this is a foregone conclusion. There is interest rates will drop. They're not going to stay like remember this is the highest, the 7% or over 7, whatever they got up to was the highest in 26 years. But that's why they always stop at 26. They don't say 40 years because they're a third of what they were right now. 40 years ago, they were 18, in the early 80s, they were 18%.
In the 90s, they were 10%.
Yeah. So, and it didn't stop people from buying houses. But the bottom line is, there's still going to be the shortage of homes on the market because there's a lot of people who one of two things have happened. They bought the house, they got a super low rate, and they're not going to sell it, or they're just going to pay it off. Like one of the 3 people I had lunch with told me that what he does is he's got a 30-year amortized loan, and he makes extra payments toward principal reduction. Now you're saying, but remember that doesn't change your payment. So if your payment's $1,500 and you pay $1,500, then you pay an extra $1,000. The next month you still have to pay $1,500. You don't get to pay a lower amount. But what it does is, the next month when he pays $1,500, more of that $1,500 is going toward principal reduction than interest because the interest is the variable thing that changes. A lot of people don't understand how that works, but it's actually pretty cool. All it means is at the end you stop paying. You own it sooner, and you paid less interest over the life of the loan.
Right.
But you have the flexibility if things get tough to go back to making the other payment.
Right. And a lot of people do that in particular with car loans because car loans, of course, are not tax deductible, and car loans are generally at a higher interest rate. So a lot of people will do that with car loans where, maybe your car loan is $500 a month, and maybe you pay $750 a month instead of the $500 so that you can pay your car loan off sooner.
Yeah. Here's another. Yeah, what housing market future all these data points will add up to remains to be seen. For now, buyers are diving into the market and making offers, likely excited by new listings. The biggest complaint I've heard from people is about that they can't find, they're renting in a neighborhood, they want to live in the neighborhood, and it's a part of town that's like well known for being whatever. But they can't get a house. Like a house came on the market and there were instantly 12 offers, and they were just like immediately they're not going to get it, right?
Right.
And that's what I think we're going to run into right now. And I don't know what the numbers are nationally. I know in Vegas we average 2 offers per listing.
Right.
Wanda just gave you the anecdotal information that we made 6 offers for a client, and they all went for over list price.
Right.
And one of them we were able to get, but then when the SRPD came back, we said no thanks.
Right. So, and this is, there's a lot of that going on. So here's what's happening, just so you're aware whether you're buyer or seller. It's kind of fun anecdotal information. So we made the offers like at the beginning of the week. We gave them a couple days to get back to us. And after a couple days, they said, well, you know what? We, like by Thursday, what I heard back was, oh, we have 7 showings scheduled for the weekend, so we're going to wait. So even though your offer is expiring, we are expecting more offers because we've got 7 showings scheduled for the weekend. Of course, sure enough, they get more offers, and then they're asking for highest and best and all that jazz. So that's kind of where you are. Now, Todd's point is that on average, there are 2 offers per property. They're not necessarily simultaneous. If you're under the $500,000 price range, there probably are simultaneous. If you're over that, if you're between 500, probably between 450 and about $1 million, you might maybe have a couple simultaneous offers. If you're over $1 million, you're less likely to have a couple simultaneous offers. But that's kind of what's going on. No matter where you are in the market, you will generally have more than one offer, providing that your property is priced pretty close to market value.
Yeah. Here's another really good quote from the article. And this is referring to the people that are going to be, interested in buying a house. Mm-hmm. They might be moving quickly because there are no guarantees the wave of fresh listings will continue. So on it, this is 2 problems. Mm-hmm. Problem number 1, we have this low number of listings that's shrinking rapidly. In Vegas, it's evaporating at an extremely high rate, not only from our market update but all this, but also because people have figured out, like, for example, in Vegas, home prices are up 11%. We actually one of the top 10 cities in the nation for home price appreciation in the last 12 months. So what's happening is people are seeing that, and this is what they're saying. This is what I'm hearing them tell me. I'm just going to buy something now, and then I'll refi it in a year, 18 months when I'm pretty sure interest rates will drop. Because if I wait, 2 things are going to happen. It's going to be more expensive, and I'm going to have, I'm going to be competing against people. So when I find the house I really like, I may not be able to get it. Mm-hmm. So if I find the house I like, I'm just going to get it. I'll deal with the high interest rate for now, but then when interest rates drop, I'll refi.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm hearing the same thing. A lot of it is people are hoping that maybe they're able to beat the spring rush if they act in February versus March or April. We do know that more people tend to get more active about home buying in April, and that's kind of, I think, a confluence of both people finishing up their tax returns and realizing that they don't have sufficient write-offs, and gee, wouldn't it be nice if I could write off the interest from a home loan, and the other reason is because maybe people are anticipating a tax refund, and maybe they want to use that toward the purchase price.
This is a chart. This is from Fred. This is the active listing count in the United States. This goes all the way back to early 2017. All of these peaks are in the fall. Every place where you see a little peak is the fall, usually October, where the number of listings in the U.S. and in any market. Now, this is the whole U.S. peak. And then you can see the little bottoms. Now, first of all, every single one of these, we'll start with that little line in the middle. Little line was a recession. It was the one that they actually took credit for. That was a recession. Everything before that, we'll call that pre-pandemic, okay, to the left. That you could see a very slight decline over, 4 years. But that's a normal market. Mm-hmm. That was, interest rates were between 4 and 5%. It was pretty normal market. Mm-hmm. If you had really good credit, you might get a high 3, but for the most part, you were going to pay 4 something, right? Mm-hmm. Then the pandemic, and then monetary policy floodgates open, mm-hmm. and you can see how the number of homes available tanked because money was cheap and everyone was buying homes. Mm-hmm. Okay, we had people leaving the city, work from home, all these reasons. Okay, now if I had told you on here, show me exactly on this where the interest rates are going to go from 3% to 7%. Okay? Show me this on the chart. And I didn't give you any information. There is zero possibility you would be able to find it. And you would, matter of fact, what you would say is, oh, that there's no way that possibly happened, because if interest rates really went that high, wouldn't the inventory really shoot up? Okay, I'm going to put you all into perspective on this chart. The housing crash, 2008, the number of houses in the U.S. available for purchase, 4 million. This chart, the top of this chart only goes to 1.6 million. So if you're watching this on your phone, it's like up here somewhere. It's like you would have to put an iPad on top of your phone to be able to see it. And if you're watching on your TV at home, it's probably like up near the ceiling. So you could see that the high interest rates were not super negatively affecting the housing market. And all it was that 2022, when you see it went up prior to 2023 with it. And it looks just like a little more exaggerated. Now, remember, this was the 6th year in a row that the crash bros predicted a housing crash. Look, inventory's rising. Oh my gosh, it's the housing crash. It's getting ready. We're watching it in real time. Home prices down 40, 50%. What's going to happen? It's going to happen. And then home prices are up 11%. You can clearly see what is going on here. We have a relatively normal market, but with super low demand. Oana, let's talk about this spring. The Fed is not going to drop rates probably until May, the earliest. Okay, mortgage rates at some point we'll figure this out, and they'll start to follow. There have been 0 of the top 7, economist firms, hedge funds, banks, et cetera, who have predicted mortgage rates being higher than they are right now. Everyone's predicted 6.6 or less, right? So we're not going to see a super high interest rate environment.
No, but I think we're going to see a stable environment.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of movement. I think the Fed is still smarting from previous monetary policy, and they really don't want to return to an inflationary environment. I think inflation is still around, and I think it still has the potential to tick back up without a whole lot of without any headwinds. So I think that they're going to be very careful. I think they're going to just keep watching the numbers every month and really considering their long-term goals and putting those at the head of any decision making versus any one economic number or data point.
The number, it is first of all, it's almost certain that this chart, if we looked at this chart, say in a year, that where we end up in this spring will be much less than we were in 2023. We could probably get 2021 or 2022 levels again. I believe that people that are this pent-up demand, right? How would you rank pent-up demand on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
It's really high. I mean, there are people that have now been waiting years for the opportunity to buy a house. And the high interest rates aren't really what's maybe kept them back as much as just lack of the available inventory for what they're looking for.
Okay. So then what about this idea that people are forward looking on interest rates and they're just going to get what they can because they know prices they know the price of a home is going to be more into, like, there's not going to be this mythical housing crash that everyone's talking about. Oh, it's good. The foreclosures, the banks are preparing. They're doing their foreclosure dance. And when the foreclosure dance is coming, the foreclosure, like, none of this stuff exists. This is all made up. It's all made up. It's never existed.
So I had this conversation with somebody today who is looking to buy a house. And the conversation ran something like, hey, I know that right now interest rates are high. Can you manage it for the next 2 years? Because if you can manage it for the next 2 years, it is likely that at some point in the next 2 years, interest rates will be lower. You'll be able to refinance and you'll be in a better position. Is this something that you can manage?
Okay, how would you respond to a person who says, why can't I just wait until rates are back down to like under 5?
because, as this person is very aware, prices keep going up. And so while you can refinance and get a lower interest rate, you're not going to be able to purchase the home very most likely for less than today.
People want to buy the home at the lowest possible price in history, and at the lowest, like people want to be able to take 1972 pricing and 2021 interest rates and magically buy their dream house. Right?
Well, we all want things.
Yeah, well, one things. Okay, final words, because that was the last thing I had from the article.
Okay. Final words. Did you have any fun? Did you laugh? I didn't make fun of Todd today. I'm sorry. I'll try to up my game next time.
Super Bowl.
Who are you rooting for? Put down in the comments. I know usually I say
Raiders.
I know usually I say only real estate related comments, but today is an exception. Your real estate related comments, yes, please put them in the comments. And if you would like to put who you're rooting for, please feel free to put that in the comments. If you want to trash talk the other team, knock yourself out. Yeah. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you spending your Super Bowl Sunday with us. And we will see you on the next video. Please remember to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.